David, and I would like to welcome Sarah Blessing.
Hi, I'm Sarah Blessing, and I'm running for State House of Representatives in Indiana of District 70, and I'm a former teacher, and I should care, and this is a great way to do that, have this podcast, interview people. So let's, Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Michelle Higgs, and I'm running to represent House District 60, which is parts of Monroe, Morgan, and Johnson counties. And I'm here because I do feel like we need to see everybody, and so many of our small towns and rural communities have been devastated through the opioid crisis and a whole host of things. So I'm here mostly just to listen and learn, and I'm going to pass it to Matt Johns.
Yes, I'm Matt Johns. I'm applying for a group home status through Clark County. I own a house in Charlestown, Indiana, where I rent rooms to men recovering addicts, and try to give them a safe place to go when they leave a recovery center and once they've completed their detox and all that, so they can start their recovery journey without any hiccups or having to return to an unsafe environment.
Hello, my name is Abraham Stucky. I am the Community and Street Outreach Manager for Thrive RCO. I'm here today to kind of advocate for the recovery community and possibly tell you all a little bit about Thrive.
I actually participate in a group when I can get there that meets every Monday morning in Jeffersonville called Clark County Cares. And so that is a group of people, really different organizations that come together, and they're focusing on recovery. And so that's actually how I met Abraham. And just a couple weeks ago, I was at a redevelopment meeting in Clark County, and I was sitting there, and Abraham walked in, and I wasn't really sure why he was even there because it was really about solar. And just a little bit later, Matt actually got up and spoke about the sober living home that he has in Charlestown. And so, being a resident of Charlestown and also being very well aware of the need, I got up and spoke for a few minutes, and then had a conversation with both Matt and Abraham afterwards about this house that he currently is running and is trying to get some changes for through the commissioners and county council. So that's kind of where we're at. And so
The biggest question I have that I think everybody needs to hear in America is, why should we spend taxpayer dollars on these programs? A lot of people say, they've messed up, they've done wrong, we shouldn't care about them. And I'm definitely not one of those people. But why is it actually beneficial to our communities to spend money on their recovery and on helping them in life? Not only is it moral, but why does it benefit all of us?
You want to take that one, Abraham?
I'll swing it. Yeah. It benefits us all because and it's actually going to save tax dollars to support these individuals in recovery, to get them into housing. The unhoused population right now in Clark County, there's definitely a major uptick in it right now. I'm down here, boots on the ground. I actually got a pop-up right out front of our building right now. We're cooking hot dogs and snacks and waters and whatever, and passing them out to the individuals, right? On every corner, if you see somebody, like, the odds are there's probably 7 to 9 more that you can't see, right? And investing in the community to help people in recovery, right, that suffer from substance use and or mental illness, is a major need in our community in Clark County. I would definitely say investing in individuals, getting them connected to employment and housing and all the resources that they need to be able to succeed, become functioning citizens in society, right, is going to cut back on the long run in the cost of tax dollars, right? Instead of paying for these individuals to be in a overpopulated jail, and all the other things that come along with the tax dollars going into the whatever crimes and things that are happening if they're still out there running amok doing the things that we do, right? So
Right.
investing in somebody, I mean, it's not only a moral thing, it's a human thing to do, man. Like, help somebody. These individuals need help. These are our brothers, our sisters, somebody's daughter, son, or whatnot. I could talk about that all day, but housing is a huge need as well.
Housing.
So
Yeah. And that's why we're here, right? To talk about housing for these guys so they can go on to become productive citizens, because so many people that have been through that, just like you, Abraham, and you, Matt, like you have come back to help people. I think that's what the beauty is in it. It's investing in our people that are going to turn around and come back and invest, in people that are dealing with the same things that they have. So,
I
Matt,
think
what do you want to?
sometimes, oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think sometimes people that have money and have a home think we don't need to worry about these issues. And I just want to point out that our community is only as safe as everyone in our community.
This is
So
true.
we need to help these people, because if we don't help them, they're going to have to turn to things that are not safe for us for their own survival. So even if you don't have a morality issue in saving these people, making our communities safer and helping everyone makes everyone safer, even those that can pay for security and can pay for things. This is just a community need that we must do better at.
And I think part of the problem right now, which is why we're here, is that it can be challenging to get people to accept that. And that's kind of what Matt is dealing with right now. So, all right, Matt, it's your turn.
All right, so yeah, to kind of piggyback off what she had asked, it's hard to convince the community that doesn't understand. But if you put it in perspective, it's like Abe said, it's in today's world, there's nobody that's not connected to drug addiction in some form. And drug addiction and mental health walk hand in hand. Long before I was ever on drugs, I was diagnosed with ADD when I was a child. I was put on heavy doses of Ritalin. I started on Ritalin at 4 years old when I first went into like a kindergarten atmosphere. So if you really track my drug addiction, it started long before I ever knew what it, as a small child, and then over time, my lack of being able to cope with emotions drove my drug addiction further. They walk hand in hand. It's like we were talking about before the podcast had started. Michigan Stadium holds 107,000 people. It's the largest football stadium in the U.S. More people died in 2023 from drug addiction than can fit in that stadium. That's children, that's brothers, that's mothers, that's fathers, that's sisters, that's friends. And if you have 30 people a week leave rehab centers all across the country every week, they walk out of those doors. Right, just in southern Indiana, if you take Sunrise, True Healing, Turning Point, Wellstone, Avenues, and you turn out 30 people a week just in the Clark County area, and you have 200 beds available, right? A majority of those people have to return back to where they were or go back to the street.
Right. Which I'm sure makes it very difficult to continue with your recovery, right?
It does. It creates a revolving door.
How many beds did you say are down here? You told me earlier there was how many male beds?
I think there's like 138 beds just in this small area here. It may be a little up, maybe a little down, but it's close to that. It's not. There's not enough.
How many would you need about to get everybody a bed?
You'd never be able to do it. You'd never
That's
be able
probably
to do
true. Because there's also so many people dealing with it that
Yeah,
aren't
I mean,
out there.
But what beds we do have are stay at capacity, and and the benefit shows. You know, if you move guys in, if it wasn't for a halfway house, I wouldn't have got sober. You know, it put me in a community of people that were like-minded like me. It put me
How
in a
long were you?
community.
How long were you in one?
I stayed in Jerry's on 8th Street for a year and a half.
Wow. Okay.
At
I
almost
know.
a year, I started managing Jerry's. You know, and the guys that were there, you know, it's a 12-step program is not just about getting sober. You know, it's about, like Abe said, becoming successful members of a community. You know, guys that had got sober before me taught me how to be a father. They taught me how to be an employee. They taught me how to be a friend. They taught me principles and boundaries. They taught me how not to just set boundaries for myself, but to set them for other people. To set them for other people, to protect them from me and me from them.
So it's a lot. I mean, that kind of goes back to what Sarah was saying, you know, people, why investing in people to help them with the recovery. I mean, it's not, it sounds like through programs like Thrive, you know, they're able to teach a lot of these things that people need, because actually I work with people with disabilities and I'm a behavior analyst, and you've got to have the skills and you've got to learn to be able to do those things to be able to function. I know Abraham doesn't have very long with us. So before he has to go, do you want to talk a few minutes about Thrive and kind of add a little bit more on to what Matt was talking about, the things that they offer, and then we'll get back to Matt about the house here, because we haven't even gotten there yet.
Yes, I'll tell you a little bit about Thrive. Thrive, we are a certified recovery community organization. We are actually the southeastern recovery hub for the state of Indiana, covering 10 counties. We cover Brown County, Bartholomew, Jackson, Jennings, Jefferson, Scott, Clark, Floyd, Harrison, and Washington counties. We actually have a IRACS team, which is a group of 8 are full-time in the jail, right? Talking to every individual that gets incarcerated, and they start on day one. Of course, it's an at-will program, so if they do accept the help, our team will start working with them from day one for the whole reentry piece, right? I think that right there is a big deal on the whole thing, on like what Clark County's investing in helping people, right? I mean, it's a state funded program, but Clark County allows us to go in there, right? Scotty Maples and them, and Brett O'Laughlin let the team come into jail, right? To create a better environment to help individuals that are getting out of jail. And what better thing to have for helping these individuals in jail is for housing for them when they get out, right? So they're starting in jail now. Throughout my recovery, 15 plus years in active addiction, in the day, like I was just in and out of the jail, so there was no programs in there. They might have had a little church group or an AA, but hard to get to. They fill up real quick. You wouldn't be able to get none, so you just in there, you do your time, you get out, and you go right back to the same thing. So now getting incarcerated and you're offered the help, and people are investing in you. But I want the community investing in housing as well, or just sign off on a simple thing saying, "Hey, yeah, we'd love for you to come here." I think there's a fear, maybe a stigma behind it as well, just the unknown to individuals that are not aware of the situations, right? For them to just open their eyes. I mean, Oxford House has houses in probably every neighborhood here in Clark County, and they actually have a house in Crystal Springs, which is like one of the top, more high class neighborhoods, right? And they're not having any big issues. Like the neighbors love them. Like they help out. They'll take the neighbors' trash down, right? They'll cut some hills and weed eat their fence lines and stuff like that. It's cool. Like people in recovery that are actually doing the thing they got some great work ethic, and they're actually amazing people if you get to know them. So
they're not.
But yeah,
I remember when you were speaking at the in Clark County a couple of weeks ago, one thing that was pointed out is that these are not like, people tend to stereotype people in recovery, and recovery touches everyone. And one of the gentlemen that was on the board when we spoke in Clark County a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to say who he is, but he was very emotional and very distraught over one of his friends and his friend's daughter that had gone through this. And it just touches everyone. If it's not touching, you directly in your family, it might be touching a friend or something, but these are not, these are also doctors and lawyers and teachers and, you know, people that work at the gas station and the grocery store. It's all sorts of people. It is, and I think that's one of the biggest things is the stereotyping.
Yes.
It hits
And
everybody, but then the people that struggle to pay their bills and stay in their homes, those are the people that it's going to hurt the worst. It's always going, these issues happen to everybody, and then they always hurt the people that have a hard time in life the most. So it's great that you guys, one, talk about your own recovery, and two, help out the people that need it the most. And yes, this is where our community should be stepping up and also helping. So it sounds like we do some things to help, but we could definitely do more. I'm interested from both of you, what more could we do? Like, let's say Michelle, Jennifer, and I make it to the state house. What could we do to help you?
More recovery awareness.
More what?
More recovery awareness. You know, Thrive, Abe is part of Thrive, and Thrive is a nonprofit organization. You know, it was started in recovery. You know, the recovery community is a tight-knit community. We help our own.
I've definitely learned that just in my, you know, time running for state rep. But even before that, just being involved in social services, like it's a huge community. I mean, not just of like the people that are getting the services, but also like there is a lot of people out there supporting you guys, which is great to see. But
yes.
obviously you guys need so much, you know, so much more.